Good evening and welcome back to Nosetools, where someone is being unhelpful. Yes. So when we left Nosetools, a dwarf had just taken control of this craftsdwarf's workshop, and was busy working secretly to construct a thing. And the thing is made out of kumquat wood logs, rough tanzanites, conglomerate gizzard stones, because he clearly has no taste. Conglomerate, I mean. Limestone blocks, silver bars, and lead bars.
Well, if you can work out what could possibly be made out of those, you're doing better than me.
Yes. And someone has been decorating limestone mechanisms in here while having nothing better to do with their time. Because obviously we want our mechanisms adorned with hanging rings of finely crafted elk bird antler. So I had a kind of plan, which was that this workshop here would be dedicated to trying to get those dwarves who were unhappy about not having practiced craft for a while happier by giving them somewhere where they could practice their crafts. So it would be assigned to continuously make bone crafts as long as we have a large number of bones in stock, and it could be profiled to not allow the insanely good bone crafters into it, only to allow the really rather ropey bone crafters in so that they can get some practice in, and I could assign it to individual dwarves if I really wanted them to do things and such like. But right now it's been stolen by a dwarf in a strange mood, so that's that for now.
If this dwarf in a strange mood has got past the point of accidentally going mad.
Yeah, we had everything that they wanted, so I think this vague feeling was one thing I had to put some effort into, but yeah, it was not like the last one where it was, I want metal, you don't have any metal, and we had to start dealing with this by mining until we could find a vein of metal ore, and by the time we'd actually managed to smelt some metal, he'd gone mad, and he's now died, and he's now turned into a zombie and is here. His very long moustache is still neatly combed despite being dead. I mean, he has only just come back to life, so was presumably neatly combed for placing in coffin, having gone mad.
And then there was the inevitable zombie moment.
Yeah, well, I did try to wall the coffin in, but we couldn't actually build the walls fast enough. Largely because there was another coffin in there that I wanted to wall in as well.
You didn't put them into the pit. Is this because dwarves object to their own going into the pit?
There are certainly unhappy thoughts from your loved one rotting away rather than being properly buried. So I hope his widow will be. I hope his widow will thus be slightly happier than she would otherwise have been. Though, yes, I should be able to locate that by going... somewhere in this lot there is presumably... So these are, yes, rather curiously sorted by when the creature... Meng Thobarak, who I think was one of the original 7. Yes, very early arrival.
These aren't the sounds of a zombie dwarf, they're the sounds of
Anyway, so there's Meng Thobarak, whom I can't now inspect, so I can't find out who his wife was. Oh well, we really want to worry about those people who are currently feeling stressed anyway, and those we can find because they flash downward red arrows. And here is our main stressed dwarf, who... Yeah, well, I mean, it's not really my job to provide you with friends or romance. And, is your worship problem that you have too many gods? Yes. level-headed after communing with Ral, unfettered after communing with Tobal, unfettered after communing with Yoka, not distracted after being unable to pray to Abod, unfocused after being unable to play to Zalis, unfocused after being unable to play to Slushu, unfocused after being unable to pray to Goslin. You have 8 separate gods you want to pray to, which is leaving you mildly stressed because there aren't enough hours in the day. Basically, it's that and your shortage of friends and lovers that you're complaining about, and I don't think I can fix many of those.
In fairness, they're not necessarily complaining to you.
No, just being unhappy about, yes. Nonetheless, has killed 15 zombie troglodytes, and 15 female zombie troglodytes, and 7 male zombie troglodytes, which is quite impressive. As well as a few...
Is the imbalance chance? Do troglodytes come in with a gender imbalance?
I suspect it's just random.
The other one's better at running away.
Maybe. And notably, the same elf twice. Oh well, yeah, I think you're just going... We'll hope that if you pray to a few more gods, things will get better.
Is this what, safety in numbers or something?
Well, this person worships 8 gods and is slightly unhappy after being unable to pray to some of them, which I think may just be that they haven't had time because they were busy praying to the others. Right, another thing to pay attention to before I unpause is what's going on around here, because things keep coming back to life and I should just make sure that things we don't want don't get kept up here. I don't know if those elkbird feet are big enough to be butchered, so I shall keep them around for now until it's reasonably clear that they aren't. Right, so one thing I did want to do was to set up some more places to bury people, given that we've lost access to our burial areas because it's full of zombie. So let us, and the plan was to use these rooms I've just dug out on the left here for the purpose. We only have 1 spare coffin at the moment though, so let us also make some more of those. Let's say 10. Let's also put some walls around that so that we own. The idea here is that I probably want to be in a position where I can, as soon as someone is buried in there, construct a single wall which will separate it off from everything else. Oh, and we should also put doors around that room. I think we are suffering a slight pig explosion here. Just looking at our pigsty, which appears to have so many pigs they don't all fit anymore and they keep falling out.
Well, can you have a pork explosion instead?
Probably, yes. No, I'm still not granting any more residential visas to entertainers. Too many damn bards already.
Oh, I was going to say... Overrun with zombie guards.
Not yet.
Okay. It's good to know.
Oh, hang on. That room isn't the one I was planning on turning into a stoat. Into a burial area, because that's the rubbish dump. Stoat. Let's correct that before anyone gets buried there. Maybe I should do something to make it more obvious what it is. Let's just construct a limestone floor around the hole. Simply as a kind of signifier that there is something interesting going on here and you shouldn't just treat this as a random room. Also, like, having a paved area around the hole should make it slightly easier to keep clean or something. Bet there's more stuff there that wants dumping. Yes. Right, so burial receptacle wants to go there. And the walls. Oh, actually, let's wait for the other walls to be taken. No, actually. I'm sure we'll find a use for the blocks fairly quickly. Assuming we have any. Its limestone blocks are up there now. So let us permit burial in that coffin, and then occasionally check whether it's been used. Rigos Ginnet Meng, the bard, has created Kilrudzat, a kumquat wood mini forge. He offers it to the Glove of Courtesies. So he has made an artifact toy. Excellent.
Oh, there you go.
This is a kumquat wood mini forge. All craftsmanship is of the highest quality. It's encrusted with round conglomerate cabochons and encircled with bands of kumquat wood, radiant cut tanzanite, and lead, because obviously your toys should be encircled with bands of lead. This object menaces with spikes of limestone. On the item is an image of dwarves in silver. The dwarves are labouring. The artwork relates to the foundation of Nosetools by the Glove of Courtesies in the Stake of Echoes. Of the Stake of Echoes. I think the Glove of Courtesies is our subgroup of the civilization called the Stake of Echoes in the early spring of 157. So it is a kumquat wood mini forge to commemorate the foundation of Nosetools. And it is phenomenally valuable. I'm not sure if this will nonetheless cause people to play with it. Let's just check that no one has immediately got... Oh right, someone's already starting to bury someone in that coffin. Well, let's in that case permit burial in that one as well. I mean, unless they actually put an entire corpse in there, we don't need to wall it off in a hurry. But we'll see what gets buried in there. So much nervous tissue to be thrown away. Oh dear, the world is getting so complicated that people are giving up on things because they can't actually work out where to put them. Right, so far I think that coffin contains a tooth. Yes. Well, it technically qualifies as being buried, I suppose. I may need to make yet more limestone blocks. So meanwhile, let's just try to do something useful with this, which is currently being used by someone who wants to decorate things with horn. I think what I want to do is to make a profile which says you're not allowed to use this if you're better than adequate. And we'll have a work order that is make bone crafts, make large bone gem. That's curious. Anyway, that is make bone crafts, do it one at a time, add a... No, that's not what I meant. Remove. No, that was what I want. Yes. Sorry. Delete condition. Number, say 50. So the idea is, as long as we have our usual ludicrous surplus of bone, not very talented bone carvers will be sent down here to just make things in order to keep them cheerful. At least that's the idea. And if I actually notice anyone who hasn't been able to practice a craft recently, then I will make sure that they are assigned bone carving. So I think that should help. Yeah, I mean, we might then have the slight problem that everyone is a talented bone carver. I kind of want to keep the really good ones out because they will just burn through bones at a ludicrous rate. Ideally, I of course want this to be conditioned on is currently pissed off after not having been able to practice craft for a while, but I don't think, but there isn't a button for that. So yes, that will that might be interesting at least. Interrupted by rotten troll corpse. Where did that happen then? Oh right. I think because they walked past while the access to the, while that door was open, they saw a rotten troll corpse at the bottom of the pit and ran away. This is a bit of a problem. Maybe we want... I think we should find a new thing which I haven't used yet this game, which is set traffic areas, and suggest that people should probably be dissuaded from pathing through the rubbish dump.
If you're setting traffic areas, don't you have to change the font to the one used in road signs?
No. So that might make people slightly less prone to wandering through there when they don't need to. There was some elkbird skin fighting, but I assume that yeah, I think it got rapidly dealt with by a passing war leopard. So that coffin has already been assigned to someone as well.
They could ask if you're enacting TROs in your plot.
No, they're not like permanent restrictions. They merely increase the cost of pathing through a particular area. By which I mean increase the cost function that the dwarves apply in order to work out what route they should take to get somewhere. So they will tend now to prefer to path through other rooms than that one in order to, for instance, get to the burial chamber in the southwest. I could also deal with this by just locking one of the doors, now I come to think of it, which would probably be simpler. There.
Bigger comments are congestion charging.
Yes, more like that. No. So what I was going to do was say, okay, what's that job that got suspended then? Okay, that's constructing that bit of wall. Unsuspend that. Should be perfectly safe. We still have a couple of elkbird toes kicking around there. Anything in here that wants disposing of right now? No. Is that building... Right, I think those toes are too small to be usefully butcherable. That ear's going to go and get the coffin all to itself, isn't it? Right, so what I wanted to check was, are there any...
I hope that coffin is sound.
Thank you. Why is someone trying to pasture a stray kitten? That suggests that that someone has accidentally assigned a kitten to the pasture, which is not very, for the pen, which is not very helpful. We have a bunch of animals that we could uncage.
Cages in a fortress. What grounds they still have stray?
So yeah, in Dwarf Fortress, stray means does not have an owner. So yes, they can be. I think they can only be stray if they are also tame, i.e., if they could be owned. Not that cats, of course, can be owned. Cats own dwarves. So yes, we do appear to have 3 kittens that are bizarrely assigned to the pigsty, which is obviously silly. So let's remove the kittens from the pigsty, which will avoid people to keep repeatedly trying to get them back into the pigsty. So we have some trained. Yes, I think we should uncage anything that's reasonably well trained. We'll leave the semi-wild naked moldog. So can I just do that? No, I have to actually. I'm sure there's a better way to uncage things than this, but I have this vague feeling it's one of these weird situations where it's quite hard to get things out of their cages. Right, so you hurl the spare elk bird toes down the pit. Those objects are things that are either being stored in tombs or that can be processed into something more useful in due course. And that square there, oh, and that's someone's left ear, which is probably going to consume an entire coffin, and then we're going to have to. Maybe I should. Let's make some more coffins. So yes, there's a bunch of place iteming tomb jobs going on. I think I should actually allow all of these to be allow that one to be used for burial, because the outer one I want to be the last one that gets used. Right, so a bunch of animals are now being dragged into the pig pen. This suggests I'm probably going to need more. Well, I can stick some more coffins in this room, but I've accidentally made that burial chamber 1 square bigger than it was meant to be. Oh well. My current opinion is that this batch of coffins is actually going to end up being entirely filled with things that aren't going to come back to life, probably. So let's not carefully wall them off and hope for the best, and meanwhile dig out a second room where where we can actually build yet more coffins, and eventually we'll reach the point where we run out of random loose body parts that need to be put in coffins, and we can start. There are far too many pigs. There are still some cats assigned to the pigsty. Stop it. Leave it alone. Let's let the naked mole dogs out, and the mule, and the porcupine, and the horse. Actually, maybe I should slaughter some of those. that elk bird is marked for slaughter already. It's kind of curious. I think we don't have much use for like mules and horses. Someone might want a porcupine as a pet.
Like things that menace with spikes.
Yes, yes. Obviously. Yes, I marked all the spare walls in our new, now being withdrawn burial chamber for demolition, and so the place is full of dwarves demolishing them. That's rather alarming. What's that dead dwarf doing there?
Not being dead for long.
Yes. Right, let's make sure they get buried.
Also work out what they died from in case that there's an unexpected zombie who's about the fortress.
Yes.
Or something.
No, coffins take an entire square each, so they're so sadly we can't stack them up on top of one another in a proper like vault, whatever, not vault thing sort of way. And yes, we definitely, that is actually catacomb. That wasn't quite the word I wanted, but it'll do. Tomb, I suppose, maybe is the rather simpler word that I was actually after. Crypt, maybe a crypt, yes. Anyway, so we have. Hello, Dwarf Fortress. Are you going to respond to keyboard input? Thank you. Right. So. All right, there is someone carrying that. All right, that is actually a corpse that already has a tomb assigned to it. Is probably sufficient. Yes, is probably yes. It's mangled. It's actually just a mangled skeleton, mangled partial skeleton. Mangled probably means not actually able to come back to life. Slight problem with pathfinding because there's a pigsty full of inconveniently positioned pigs in the way. I think that elk bird that's marked for slaughter is not being slaughtered. If I say, oops, can I ask for that elk bird to be brought here? And then will it immediately get slaughtered? I kind of feel this is going to be an embarrassing disaster of some sort. Right, let us fill this area with coffins. General idea being that those ones will be used now to take random body parts, and we'll see if they all fill up. And then yes, people start liking their equipment if they keep using it long enough. No, I don't want a wall there, I want a door staked. Right, yes, that didn't work very well because the elk bird didn't get immediately taken for slaughter. It was actually just left loose in the yeah. Happily, there's someone nearby with a
pickaxe or something.
with a crossbow. Yeah. So I'm going to assume that the elk bird will be finished off one way or another.
Was the elk bird originally alive or dead?
Alive. It still is alive.
All Elk birds were originally alive.
Yeah, but what I was mostly meaning is it currently an alive elk bird or is it an elk bird zombie?
Yes, it is currently an alive elk bird. It was just an elk bird that we caught in a cage trap, and I marked it for slaughter, but that didn't seem to get it slaughtered while it was in its cage. So I thought I would ask to have it removed from its cage and put in the pig pen. But the consequence of this appears to have been that the elk bird was released into the pig pen and not immediately taken for slaughter after that, which is hardly surprising really, I suppose, but it was worth a try. And so now it's causing a small amount of trouble, but like, it doesn't take much to kill an elk bird, and there's someone there with a crossbow. And it is admittedly wrestling with pretty much everyone. Now there's an undead mule skin in the tannery. I should sort out a better military. Okay, I think the undead mule skin got deaded so rapidly that I don't have to deal with it. We've only bruised it. Surely it's... Yeah, oh well, it is apparently adequately dead. Yes. Yes, and someone has... someone conveniently had a copper pick with them and smashed the elk bird's skull with it. So that will deal with that. Now there's just rather a lot of blood on the walls that needs to be cleaned off. Oh, look, someone's cleaned the walls as well. Excellent. Someone cancels Tanner Hide because job item lost or destroyed or mysteriously came back to life. Right, so let's see what the burial situation is like. So that one is already occupied. That one is occupied. That one is occupied. That one's waiting to be constructed but has been suspended. Let's unsuspend it. That one is not yet marked for burial, so let's allow anyone to be buried in there. I'm allowing pets largely because we haven't had many pets die anyway. So we'll wander around the fortress while things are happening. See if there's anything that looks seriously amiss. I need to do something about the dining rooms. Yes, I should do that in a moment. Right, so... let's arrange things so that section of coffins is walled off from everything else.
It's true. books. Anyway, whether native mold
Sometimes maybe managing or something.
you would, but no.
Actually,
Isn't that producing plants?
yes, some things still. Oh, that means plants that will produce a material you can make a drink out of. It's just that this is clearly a
I'm sure to identify it, just into the wild.
yes. I haven't managed to work out how I phrase this in English, so let's just write it using the internal thing. Yes, I mostly want to use up those 2 limestone blocks to get them out of the way. Though actually, given I made that room 1 square too big, I could make enough space for another 3 coffins if need be. I think all of these are going to get used. Let's enable all of them because it doesn't actually help me if I don't. And then just see what gets put into them. Okay, we may actually have enough room. How many teeth are there in that coffin now? Right, yes. No. So
They want the teeth pretty well, they must have about 32.
I can check. Probably. This is actually tooth. No. Don't think that gives us the number of teeth. Obviously, dwarves are some of the more complicated creatures in the game. I'm not sure whether there was anything there about their actual number of teeth. It may merely be a body humanoid, neck, 2 eyes, 2 ears, nose, 2 lungs, hearts, guts, organs, humanoid joints, throat, neck, spine, brain, skull, 5 fingers, 5 toes, mouth, tongue, facial features, teeth. So I don't know what it is that decides how many teeth dwarves have. And sadly, the only thing in the wiki about teeth is ivory.
Well, what teeth?
Yes, you have teeth, so do vampires. So what's the bedroom situation like anyway? We actually have some unowned bedrooms, hooray, for now. And shockingly, some unowned coffins. Good. So, I was going to deal with the mess that is our hugely overcrowded dining areas.
Did you work out why your medic was low on blood?
No, I haven't yet. It was the chief medical dwarf, wasn't it? Looks fine now. Distracted after being unable to practice the craft though. So profile, labours. Oops. I've lost the chief medical dwarf. Profile, labours, crafts, enable bone carving, and then you will be able to go and carve bones like everyone else. Right, so part of the problem is that one of the rooms that I want to make part of the dining room is currently being used for training, but that's fine because so that's currently assigned to the creative entries, so I think I want to remove that armour stand and then move it to the new room, the new room next to the staircase that I've carved out. We'll put a good door in there because it's going to be in the dining room. Ditto there. Probably a perfectly ordinary door in each of these slots. And then the plan is that we stick the armour stand in that room to the west near to the archery range, where someone is happily pouring crossbow bolts into the undead. We turn that into a barracks for anyone who happens to want one. And we enlarge the dining room to 4 rooms. We need another door, of course, there, don't we? Okay, let's not do that just yet. Let's make sure. That door should be marked as internal, and we should build another door here. Right, let's resize the dining room again. So now the dining room occupies all of that space. And now I need to install some furniture. Need to mark it for smoothing, lowish priority. And install some chairs and tables. Which means I'm probably going to need to build some chairs and tables, isn't it? Doesn't it? Well, let's start. So if we're going to fill everything, we're going to want about 12 of them. So. So presumably this dining room is now... It's now a grand dining room, which is nice. Yeah, well, that's related to the value of the room, which, among other things, is based on its size, where how much the walls are smoothed, how valuable all the furniture in it is, and so forth. Not sure if all of those are useful, but let's turn them on anyway. Right, so now people are spreading out a bit into the extra dining areas, which is probably for the best. I will leave the southwestern kind of dining room open as a place for dancing and entertainment and such like. Is that a door being blocked by a sock there? No. Well, yes, but also no. It's a door being blocked by a pile of very valuable steel armour. So let's leave that door blocked. No. Socks are like the canonical thing to find jamming terribly important doors in your fortress with. So when you say combat, you mean you decided to start shooting things? Yes, it is. But, like, the message to me implied that you'd got attacked by something, not that you just started shooting at the wildlife. Oh, that's not nice. Mangled corpse probably safe. Yes. Was it Carol Fukarth that who was? Yes, I mean. Combat report we've got from him didn't seem... Oh, right, no, that's... Right, yes, okay, he got into a fight with the Draltha, having... possibly shot it, then started trying to beat the Draltha to death with his crossbow, which was slightly effective. It left the Draltha bruised repeatedly. I'll look it up in a moment. But ultimately he got too tired from repeatedly hammering this thing, and the Draltha eventually got bored and killed killed him, which is obviously unfortunate. The Draltha is still there. I want wrong button. I want V for interrogate creatures. A large, long-bodied grazer with a thick mane that feeds on the tops of tower-capped mushrooms deep under the earth. Yes. But if you bash it with a crossbow often enough, it'll start actually fighting back.
Yeah, as long as it presumably didn't stop.
Yes. I think it was started by the bone carver who had foolishly gone down there with a crossbow. A mangled troglodyte corpse, yeah, we can leave those there. I mean, possibly we should actually get someone to kill that Draltha. Well, if no one is an idiot, it will probably not fight anyone else who comes down there to collect the corpse. Plus it seems to have wandered off, yeah. Okay, someone is busy shooting Dralthas again. That sounds reasonable, yes. Let's see what the wiki has to say about them. Draltha. I mean, yes, a bit of non-canonical artwork doesn't have them being that tall, but obviously that is not actually drawn by the authors, so it may not be accurate. That's interesting. So they are actually capturable and have decent pet value and are excellent for and are pretty decent things to tame. Well, if we manage to get any in our cage traps, I will pay attention to this fact. Indeed, I should probably slightly check what we have got in the cage traps and try to uncage things. But we've got a bunch of cages there in particular that I think are now unoccupied. So I could demolish those cages and thus get them put back into cage traps if there are any unarmed cage traps. What the hell's in that cage then? Alright, there's a tin cage containing a naked mole dog down there. Let's stick that up in the training area. Getting better. I know, dabbling hammer dwarf, because anyone who carries a crossbow will occasionally try to beat things to death with it, which will gain them some hammer dwarf skills. Right, we appear to be out of Oh, we have a new mayor. Right, I should pay attention to that because that probably means I need to reassign the reassign offices and such like.
And,
Mm. Yes,
scales of justice.
yes. So let us assign that to do what I've done before, which is assign that to the mayor, and then also make the mayor the manager and the bookkeeper. And the only slight problem is that the mayor does not have a dining room because we also need to assign them the same room as a dining room. Right. Which is kind of silly but does appear to have the correct consequences. Right, so we have a white jade problem, which I think means I want to finally remove those two jobs. And then go, right, what? Then start setting up the new batch of sensibly configured gem handling jobs. So we could do with a job for cutting yellow zircons, for instance. Actually, what are those pink things? We've got lots of them. Rough tanzanites. Right, so if we go job manager, tanzanite, cut tanzanite, yes. Do it once, but have a condition that says that we should actually do it any time we have at least one rough tanzanite kicking around. So meanwhile, what have we got by way of spare gems in there? We have, for instance, green tourmalines. So let's also add a job of encrust furniture with green tourmaline once, on condition that we have at least one green tourmaline, cut green tourmaline available, and something that isn't a bin to improve. Right. So what's our stock situation like? We have an insane quantity. Okay, I think I need to turn up the settings for the bookkeeper. So let's push it all the way to all counts accurate, so that we can actually see just how much food we've got. I think one of my Marks dwarves has just become legendary, simply by standing there and repeatedly shooting at the undead. So hurrah for that. Oh dear, my naked mole dog has gone wild. But that one was actually I think that one was not actually out of its cage, so now it can be retrained and might become a little bit more useful this time. So if we assign any trainer, So,
One of them doesn't have an owner and the other one doesn't want one.
yes, cats decide for themselves who is going to be, who they are going to own officially. Whereas other animals get their are chosen by the people who want them. The unavailable ones are, I think, mostly in the pig pen, and I think by virtue of, and are thus treated as being stock animals rather than potential pets. Oh right, yes, I did set to train at any. That's fine. So the porcupine I could actually let out. I set pen pasture information, and is the porcupine in here? Do I actually have to mark it? Maybe it's not because it's in here, because it's not. Porcupine is actually loose. Maybe I actually have to go Z animals. Oh, enter toggle pet availability. Right, the porcupine is now available. Let us also allow the naked mole dogs to be taken by anyone who wants them. Pigs are generally not pets. Neither are goats, I think.
Right. Good night, the soundosphere.
Good night. Coffin is filling up with teeth. One of the Drowsers has got a name. It's kind of unfortunate. Right, so, yes. We'd install some more furniture, I suppose. Is there a way from this side to say put this person in the military? Yes, I think there is. I was going to go first. You're not assigned for wood cutting. You're not assigned for mining. You are a skilled axe dwarf, and you're already a member of the creative entries, right? Given that you apparently are an adept Marks dwarf, you should probably be on our Marks dwarf squad. You should probably not be assigned for hunting, because I think hunting is a bit dangerous. Plus, I would like to have competent Marks dwarves, so I can just go Rams of Clasping, which is our Marks dwarfery squad, assign. Right. And I should probably be putting people into the military who are randomly kicking around in the temple rather than, or similar, rather than competent axe dwarf. Yeah, that sounds like someone we want. That's not pointful anyway. I generally don't want people who are woodcutters, hunters or miners in the military, because apparently this causes some confusion over their equipment. But other than that, profile, you should be assigned to the creative entries. Competent hammer dwarf, competent pike dwarf, if only you had any pikes. Yeah, go on. Not a miner, not a woodcutter, not a hunter. Please join creative entries. You are, I think, not quite sufficiently one of us to join the military. Ditto, you already in the military. Probably don't want to put doctors in there, like we might actually want them for other purposes. But we've got quite a lot of them. That looks good. You can join the creative entries. You're a kitten, you can't join the military. Or a miner, you can't join the military. You don't have any martial skills, so you're not really worth having. Let's go down to the dining rooms. You're a jaguar. Can't join the military. You're a human poet who is busy telling stories. You are an animal caretaker who's also a competent axe dwarf. So I think you should join creative entries. You're also a competent axe dwarf. You're a miner, you're a miner. You're a competent axe dwarf, and rather bizarrely don't have any hunting enabled. Oh well, yes. And you can join the creative entries, and now the creative entries are actually full. So now when I send someone out to kill some unfortunate creature that's causing trouble, we'll actually have a decent quantity of people there. Probably want to find some competent marks dwarves, or give some people enough training to become a competent marks dwarves might. What's going on then? Why is everyone asleep in the... I think some of our visitors... I think we don't have anything like enough rooms assigned to the creative pumpkin. Yes, it has 13 rooms. All 13 of them are currently occupied. Right, let us find some unoccupied rooms and assign them to the creative pumpkin. There were 4 people asleep in there, weren't there? So there were probably 4 rooms that we want to assign at least. That's going to leave us with not many unoccupied bedrooms. So that currently goes up to 3 squares away. It goes quite a lot further than 3 squares away. I think I might start digging out bedrooms on this layer. So obviously not every space on this layer can become a bedroom because some of it's being used for water storage. Alright, it's all damp up here. We'll have a look at that and see if maybe that it's not worth the hassle of digging out this layer. Because if it's all going to get, even if, okay, yes, everything appears to be damp on this layer. Yeah, that's just going to be a pain to dig out. Okay, let's not try digging bedrooms on that layer then. That layer is for actually useful rooms. We've said we are not allowed to export puzzle boxes. Okay. And I think this layer of bedrooms has actually ended up with too much sprawl. Takes quite a long time for anyone to get anywhere in this layer. So I think instead I'm going to dig out this layer just above the caverns. It's not right. And I think we should just dig out the same arrangement we had there. So macro some of this, but like, problem with doing it nicely diagonally, which is obviously right for making sure that the maximum distance from anywhere from the staircase is like constant in all directions, is that it makes working out how to do the keyboard macros to lay it out kind of painful. No, that one's wrong. Maybe the efficient thing is actually to draw out an infinite grid and then just turn some of it off. But if I'm going to do that kind of thing, I at least need to make sure that my recording is actually of the correct thing. Well, that's kind of reasonable. Not what I meant. Right. That was the layout I was aiming for. Off you go. Dig me out an entire new floor of bedrooms. Right, so off they go with the digging. Lots of shiny new clusters of gems. Excellent. Actually, we should say feel free to enlarge those clusters as appropriate. And we'll build walls as necessary. Actually, we won't build those walls yet. Let's wait until the gems have actually been removed from behind them. I mean, usually I would leave gems in the walls of bedrooms, but since that room isn't a bedroom, it's a corridor, there's no particular win in having the walls made of white jade. So we may as well carve the white jade out of there and use it for some other purpose. Out of blocks again. How embarrassing. Right. Maybe I should just have a scheduled job to make another quantity of blocks whenever we run low. Someone appears to be busy hunting camels. What's wrong with you then? It looks like you got quite badly injured, which is why you're no longer able to stand. And to a broken foot, which I kind of feel ought to be healable, but you still have quite a quantity of cave spider silk thread in your body. So, how many beds have we got in stock at the moment? 3, right. So, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. What's my manager playing at? Is they currently desperately busy updating the stockpile records by any chance? Yes, because I added 2 extra levels of precision, so no new jobs are going to get organised by the manager until then. Right, you're playing with your toy axe, are you? That's nice. Bunch of people going to engaged in combat drill. We have far too many bards kicking around. Anyway, yes, we should start actually constructing the rest of the furniture in the new dining rooms. I was kind of leaving it around for a bit in case we could get them decorated, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, so the layout here is a bit careful to ensure that each table is only adjacent to precisely one chair, so that we don't end up with any confusion over who uses which table. I think it's fine to put it in the way. And at the moment, admittedly, most of the tables are unused, but we might need them later. Well, yes, the limestone layers are kind of full of white jade. Well, happily, you're probably consuming fewer crossbow bolts killing Draltha than we can get out of a Draltha, so it's kind of profitable, I suspect. We do have some ludicrously over-decorated buckets here. Oh, that's where the Cinnabar gizzard stones went. They've been used to decorate a bucket. At least those are persistently wet, so it's scarily busy around here. What is that? There's a missing connection in this layout. That should be connected. Actually, let's make that marginally higher than usual priorities, so as to drag people away from the bedroom construction downstairs, since that's still not finished. And then we'll stick a door in that opening. Good door. Smooth those. Alarmingly high priority, but it doesn't really matter. And marginally adjust the size of the dining room to suit. Right, so now people can get into the dining room directly from the staircase without from the down staircase without having to go through the main staircase, which may be helpful. We've got any limestone blocks in stock yet? Yeah, I wonder what's going on. Oh, because our mayor, because we can't share. No, that looks. They still haven't been validated by the mayor, come manager, come everything else, which is a slight problem with assigning the same person to all the jobs. Because the mayor is busy boozing. And we'll probably at some point start sorting out the jobs. but is currently busy drinking. So yes, that will sort itself out. Oh, the mayor is now going off to manage some work orders. Excellent. If they can fight their way through the crowds. Right. Quick bit of bureaucracy. And now those work orders will actually be commenced. Meanwhile, we've probably got a reasonable stock of doors at least. Reasonable stock of doors. That should get some more built in due course. Everyone is now milling around, carrying doors with them. Should we turn the pig explosion into a pork explosion yet? No, we've got 267 meat kicking around. We should make sure that the kitchen is running at full capacity. Is there someone currently cooking meals in there? If not, why not? Right, there is. Good. So what's our tallow situation? Is it ludicrous? No, it's not. Oh, we're probably accidentally cooking lots of it, aren't we? Let us make sure that what tallow we have, we're not accidentally cooking, because we have better uses for tallow than to cook it. Given indeed that we have some tallow in stock, it's a glob, isn't it? Yes. We have 9 tallow in stock. It may be worth making some ash. I mean, we're basically in the situation where we don't really worry about going onto the surface, even though there are odd undead things out there sometimes. Because dwarves are reasonably sane and will run away from anything scary. You look unhappy. Who are you and why are you unhappy? Under a great deal of stress. Yeah, oh right, you're the same person who was unhappy before you because you've got far too many gods. You're just in your non-military hat at the moment. Not actually wearing, well, probably wearing a hat, but. So now this should all, the tallow pipeline should automatically operate now. Right, we're rendering some more fat there. So once the fat is rendered, I should say kitchen, other, Elkbird tallow, do not cook. Now we are making another lavish meal. You're not a legendary cook yet, are you? What level of cook are you? Proficient, not bad. And a member of the Rounds of Clasping, of course. People have at least started using the southern half of the temple, which is now so crowded that we might want to make more space again. Largely because no one's using the northern half of the temple now. Why has that not been made inactive then? Still, we have plenty of honey yellow beryl and tanzanite cut now, so let's add some jobs for them. New order, tanzanite, encrusted furniture with tanzanite. 1. Conditions from reagents. Set the numbers to 1. New order, honey. Encrust furniture with honey yellow beryl. 1. Conditions. Reagents. 1 honey yellow beryl and 1 improvable furniture. Right. At some point we'll get to the message that's caused this to pause. Oh, it's just Cheesemaker has given birth to a boy. That's nice. Well, if you're going to be surprised by Drowser, that's your own business. If you're off hunting, I don't really see any obligation on my part to protect you. Right. In due course, as and when you get a moment, please would you smooth everything in here, except not actually the boring bit in the middle. Enough doors. I did make sure we had enough beds, didn't I? We've only got 10 available beds, which given this floor has 20 rooms is not really enough. We do actually have... Oh right, the beds our beds are still under construction. Thing has grown to become a human child. And the stone detailer has set to work smoothing everything down here. Meanwhile, is there any more tallow? Would I need to forbid people from cooking? Doesn't look like it at the moment. What's our blob stock looking like then? Yes, we only have elkbird tallow and horse tallow in stock. Because it's probably worth turning the tallow into soap because, well, if nothing else, we can sell soap. And since no one else apparently exports soap in the entire world, we should be able to make a phenomenal profit on it. Except it turns out this doesn't work. We probably want a job running here to make thread out of those various bits of hair that we have kicking around up there. Oh, no, that doesn't work. Still wondering why that encrust with green tourmalines job keeps coming up. Do we have a surprise stock of cut green tourmalines somewhere that I don't know about? No. I mean, I should probably deliberately make an attempt at consuming the stocks of weird things, though. Like, what's going to happen is that one mechanism in here, or possibly that one bucket, is becoming a phenomenally valuable bucket. We'll just get more and more things attached to it. Which is amusing, but possibly not actually helpful. Okay, there appears to be a Drowser corpse kicking around here. Well, yes, it's caused some significant injury, it looks like. Yeah, you're going to need some treatment after that. Let us... okay, give me a moment and I'll go and read the questions. Let us set our new creative entries, of whom there are 10, to the task of killing that Drowser corpse, well, re-killing that Drowser corpse, and go and see what Claire was talking about. Claire! No, Mark, so, sorry, I should be slightly more useful about that. Yes, I don't know what's going on with green tourmaline. I think the system should be stopping me, should be automatically stopping that task restarting, because it's marked as conditional on having any cut green tourmalines lying around. Yes, I could set up a tavern in the cavern. It might work as a way of disposing of bards. I mean, I'm not sure it's a good plan, mind. The tallow situation. So what I actually did was I forbade the main food stockpile from being used to store tallow. Which, if, and I can't remember if I did, I also made sure that the kitchen could only use supplies that came from that stockpile, might have worked. Except that the way that you get, thank you Eek, the way that you get tallow is it's made in the kitchen. And there is, I think, a general exception to the only use materials from linked stockpiles, which is all materials that are already in the workshop. Because otherwise you end up in the stupid situation where a dwarf picks up a stack of 100 elkbird bones, takes them to the craft dwarf's workshop, carves one of them into a crossbow bolt, or 5 crossbow bolts rather, and then there aren't any elkbird bone left in the stockpile to carve the next ones from, because all the rest of them because the rest of the stack is still in the workshop, and it would obviously be silly to haul them back to the workshop and so forth. So I think what happens is that even though the stockpile can't contain elkbird bone, this doesn't help, because the kitchen can take things from itself perfectly sensibly. And so yes, what I actually needed to do was to go into the kitchen tab and forbid them there, but I can only do that once I know about them. Yes, you can encrust things with saltpeter. I'm not sure that was a good idea. Possibly encrusting ammo with saltpeter would have been reasonable. I have no idea why you would want your crossbow bolts encrusted with gems. Like, crossbow bolts seem to me to be a fundamentally disposable object, and that's not a good thing to stick your expensive gems on. I mean, I think a bucket is a better target, but no, they're just shiny.
So you can't make a sound out of it.
I mean, I suppose maybe it's intended that eventually they'll be magical, and so there's a mechanism for encrusting crossbow bolts with them just in case. Anyway, let's see if my newly reorganised military can be effective. Well, someone's shooting it with crossbows, which is a nice start. Some military have turned up, and they've re-killed it, it looks like. Good. Not before it got a name, though, so it's probably killed someone. Yes, the Drowser corpse pushes the... No, that was just an arm. I shall have a look around in a moment. But yes, bashed the Drowser corpse in the head with his bronze mace, and the injured part is crushed. Excellent. Previously having been stabbed with a steel short sword, which probably helped. biting the Draltha corpse, on the other hand, probably not very good. Or Zuthan Oronathal Blue Peachick has been found dead. That will consume one of our coffins, because I don't want someone's pet Peachick coming back to life and haunting them. So we have a re-killed Draltha corpse. Oh dear, yeah, there's just an Oronathal who... well, who doesn't actually appear to... oh, right. Oh, no, that's the Blue Peachick. That's not a problem. Why did I think an actual dwarf had died? Because the Draltha corpse got a name, but I suspect killing the Blue Peachick was actually what got it the name. Right, excellent. That's fine. Someone put that Peachick in a coffin, please. Oh, I should also check whether its corpse is mangled, shouldn't I? I'll check that once it's in a coffin. Oh, there it is. I know where it is now because someone's hauling it. No, they've not. They're not. They put it in the wrong place. Oh, right, it's got another task on. All right, interrupted by 2 hump camel hair. We'll fix that in a bit. Not a mangled corpse, so you probably want to wall it in. Ideally. Okay, there's a giant tortoise corpse wandering around. Where's that? Oh, it's out on the surface. That's not such a problem. All those superscript 2s. Okay, they are a bunch of dead remains of minor vermin. What? Why is that giant tortoise corpse in a tree? Are they all in trees? No, okay, at least some of them are on the ground, yes. That's fine. Yes, okay, well, if there are scary things on the surface, don't go onto the surface, you stoat. But, like, as far as I can see, my dwarves are reasonably sane in that respect, in that, well, they will go up there, get scared, and come back again. Right, so... curiously, 2 of these coffins are actually assigned to people, but empty. No, one of them is assigned to someone, but empty. So, I really want to wall this area in. So what I'm going to do is say, remove the one unoccupied coffin there. And put it in the next room to the west. No. I mean, still quite tempted by David's idea. Slight trickiness is to ensure that only the bards go down there. So David's suggestion was that we should deal with the surplus of bards by building a tavern in the cavern, which in particular would be a relatively dangerous place to send a large number of bards to, in the hope that they would get killed by the wildlife. I mean, especially if we dug down into a new cavern of a new, deeper cavern with more interesting wildlife, and possibly, say, forgotten beasts in it. Yes, where they tell stories, or in this case, get menaced by forgotten beasts. I did that in Skyrim. I only actually killed one bard. I think news got... Because the previous game, the bards have been really, really annoying. So once I was playing as a character who had no qualms about randomly murdering people, she randomly murdered a bard who was being annoying, and no other bard has bothered her since. Right, we'll stick that new coffin in here. Okay, we do have this slight problem that because there are objects outside that people want to fetch, everyone goes, oh, there's an object on the surface that needs moving. I'll go out there and fetch it. Spots that there's a dead giant tortoise menacing them and comes back in again. And then a little while later goes, oh, there's an object outside that I'd like to move. It's kind of like herring sandwiches. Right, so let's wall that off just so that if the baby peahen, whatever, comes back to life, it doesn't cause trouble. Okay, if we're not careful, we'll accidentally wall someone else's pet in there, but... I don't think strictly there's any penalty for accidentally killing someone's pet by walling it into a tomb. There was something there that slightly worried me. Oh no, I was just confused. Okay. What's going on there? Okay, I think someone has, someone has come back to life while we weren't paying much attention and attacked a random human noble. But the Lord Consort in question had an iron pike with him, and with sufficient violence, you can use an iron pike to put down the undead, albeit rather messily, and I think that's now a mangled corpse, but probably doesn't qualify for burial in the fortress, being a foreigner. Well, let's tag that for as used for burial, and we'll see if that corpse gets assigned to it, and if not, then we should send it to the pit. Yes, there are two, unfortunately, rather ill people in our hospital at the moment. Oh, have we got any splints? Yes, good. Okay, now the Lord Consort is... Oh, right, yes, he's human, of course. It's you. So he's not one of our locals. I think the dead dwarf in that bedroom is kind of... is still not assigned the job of being buried. Yes, doesn't have any task assigned, which probably means not going to be buried in a coffin, so let us stick there. Stick the remains of their corpse down into the pit. Yeah, the pig situation is getting silly, isn't it? No one is currently preparing a lavish meal. Need more cooks. Who wants to become a cook? Well, I mean, like... I feel that we don't really need that many hunters and trappers and animal tamers. So let us pick someone who is not doing anything in that sort of category and say, hi, would you like to learn cooking? Cooking? Cooking. Actually, no one seems to be spinning any thread either. Hi, you're a weaver. Would you also like to learn spinning? So all being well, someone, that job now actually has someone working on it. Good. They're not very good at cooking yet, but they will get better. Right, we've now got enough doors to finish this layer off. No, I didn't mean that. I meant build door. And then we should install some beds. Oh.
Halloween Party Online Part 2.
Ah, well, I think that's why it was separated out into part 2.
Okay.
So that you would at least get part 1, which is not labelled part 1. But
I've got 2 copies of Part 2.
oh, okay.
What?
I don't know.
Different sizes?
Okay, we haven't quite got enough beds yet.
Different envelope times? What was I saying now? Oh, traits room.
Oh. Right, we definitely have a vampire. That probably means I need to start organising, like, law enforcement and such. I don't think I'm up to this evening. And of course, right, we should make sure, and we should deal with this now, that coffin is walled off reasonably quickly, because otherwise that child is going to come back to life. And while a vampire is a bit of an irritation, zombie children are probably worse. It's slightly silly, but make things a bit faster. Having a stockpile there that someone will haul some blocks up to, so I can build the wall at the moment that the child's body has been laid to rest, which I hope someone is currently working on. Doesn't seem to be a place item in Tomb job. Inod Edempton. Corpse is not yet in the coffin. Coffin is assigned to them. What? Mangled and mutilated? Oh, right. That was unfortunate. What? Oh, but... check that again. Okay, possibly by accident, I threw their corpse into the pit. Oh well. Then we don't need to worry about walling off that coffin, because it will never be occupied. I mean, we could wall it off simply for tidiness value, I suppose. And then what while we're here. Let's install some more coffins, even if we're not going to fill them immediately. I think that can be spun, so I'll leave it in existence for now. Still no one seems to be engaging in the actual spinning. Right. See what's going on in the gem in the jeweller's workshop. Still got plenty of things to encrust things with. No one seems to be spinning. Find someone who's not doing very much and that has relatively useless jobs. Ah, someone is doing some spinning finally. I mean, whether we need any thread is another matter, but... Interrupted by giant tortoise head. I think it's probably been killed already. Ear doesn't seem to be going anywhere, so let's hurl it into the pit. I think those objects may be kind of stuck because they're in inaccessible parts of the butcher's shop. So we may have to deal with that by temporarily demolishing the butcher's shop, but not now, because there's an enormous queue of giant tortoises to butcher. Right. Set things up there so that that's ready to wall in more coffins as they get occupied. I think I've kind of worked out what happened with the with that child and why. Well, maybe I haven't. Oh, I don't know. I think I'm kind of wondering if maybe the child was like he couldn't be buried until they'd been officially found dead, which no one had yet done. Soon I will actually designate that entire floor as bedrooms. Someone else has been found dead, but not drained of blood, so that's probably okay. I mean, when I say okay, oh right, you're down in the... Well, frankly, what did you expect? Stop going down there and getting into fights with Drowthers. But someone's busy dealing with the Drouther, I'm sure. Sod it. But just go and deal with this half-dead Drouther. Simply because people keep running away from it and it's causing trouble. There we go, right. Doesn't take long when you turn up. Someone turns up with an iron spear. Now, is it... Oh. Right. I think if I've just run into a forgotten beast... that maybe I should not carry on this evening. So, the forgotten beast Thol has come. A huge, hairy snail. It has thin wings of stretched skin and it has a bloated body. Its violet hair is very curly. Beware its noxious secretions. Right, well then. Forgotten beast, Thol, which has a body, a shell and 2 wings. And presumably secretes noxiously, which may turn out to be a problem. But I think that, plus the fact that I've got a vampire kicking around, plus, like, at least some problems with organising burials, means that now might be a good time to stop for the night. Because, yes. Then someone on Friday will have to remind me that I have either a vampire problem or a forgotten beast problem, or possibly both. So, yes, good night everyone, thank you for watching, and we'll be back on Friday evening, probably, for some trying to remember how you sort out vampires and or forgotten beasts. Maybe sending my military against the forgotten beast and seeing how it does. Till then, goodbye, and, well, I suppose I could ask you to like and subscribe and such like, but I really wouldn't notice.